People can be afraid of you without you ever raising your voice, without threats, without drama. Just 10 quiet behaviors that are already deciding how they talk to you, how they talk about you, and what they will never say when you walk into the room. Here's what most people don't realize. Fear is not always screaming, fights, or slammed doors. Fear is the pause before they speak, the way they edit their stories around you, the way they check your mood before they disagree. They smile, they laugh at your jokes, they look relaxed. On the inside, they are calculating. Think about how many times this has happened to you. People over-explain themselves to you. They apologize twice for something small. They say, "I wasn't sure how you'd feel about this," before they give you news. On the surface, it looks like respect. Underneath, it is caution. It is self-protection. Because you do not need to be loud to be dangerous. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those they believe can inflict costs, even if those costs are never spoken out loud. A look, a silence, a single cold reaction, that is enough for the brain to learn. Be careful around this person. This has power. Being quietly feared protects you from disrespect, from casual manipulation, from people who think they can walk all over you. When others sense that crossing you has consequences, they move differently. They watch their decisions. They do not feel safe using you as an easy target. But there is a price. Mismanaged fear isolates you. It makes friends feel like subordinates. It turns honest feedback into secret complaints. Doors close in rooms you never enter because people label you intense, hard to read, too much. You are not invited, you are not warned, you are simply avoided. Stop. Listen to what just happened. The same behaviors that protect you can quietly trap you. Emotional detachment looks like maturity. Strategic silence looks like confidence. Firm boundaries look powerful. That's exactly why people praise you in public and lower their voice when they talk about you in private. Some of the 10 behaviors you are about to see are openly intimidating. Most are not. Most are praised as leadership, self-control, or high standards. On the surface, they look admirable. Underneath, they trigger something ancient, caution, submission, and in some people, a deep, hidden resentment. Power starts the moment you realize this is not random. These reactions are not just how people are. They are responses to specific patterns in how you speak, how you listen, how predictable you are, and how you enforce your limits. In this video, you are going to see those patterns clearly. You will see which of these 10 behaviors you already use, how they shape your reputation, and how to decide what happens next. Do you amplify that fear? Do you soften it? Or do you finally control it instead of leaving it to chance? Most people don't lose power because they're hated. They lose power because they're harmless, safe, easy to overlook. You were trained to believe that being liked is the highest goal, that if you are agreeable enough, soft enough, non-threatening enough, life will reward you. Here's what most people don't realize. That training has a hidden cost. When your first instinct is to be pleasant, to smooth things over, to prove you're no problem, you teach people something about you. You teach them that interrupting you is low risk. Talking over you is low risk. Making decisions that affect you without asking is low risk. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You're in a meeting, you start a sentence, someone cuts in, and you let it go because you don't want to be that person. A friend commits you to a plan, then laughs. You don't mind, right? And you say yes to avoid friction. In that moment, they feel relaxed. You pay the price. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those they see as capable of inflicting costs, even if those costs are only implied. Translation: if you look like you won't push back, won't say no, won't make things uncomfortable, Your needs slide to the bottom of the priority list. You become safe to ignore. That is where fear becomes useful, not terror, not cruelty. A mild, controlled level of fear, really, heightened respect mixed with caution, changes the calculation in every conversation. When people are not entirely sure how far they can go with you, they stop treating your boundaries like suggestions. They stop forgetting your time is limited. They stop assuming you will always absorb the inconvenience. Power starts the moment you realize that being slightly dangerous to cross protects you more than being endlessly pleasant to be around. Calm, emotional detachment, strategic silence, steady eye contact, a clear "no, that doesn't work for me," delivered without apology. These behaviors sound normal, look harmless, feel natural when you practice them, yet they quietly shift the power balance in every room you enter. Stop. Listen to what just happened. Nothing dramatic, no raised voice, no threat. But the social equation changed. Unpredictable behavior, even on a small scale, taking a pause before you answer, asking your own question instead of explaining yourself, forces people to treat your reaction as a real variable, not a guaranteed yes. That's exactly why this video is not about turning you into a bully. It's about understanding the mechanics of quiet intimidation, so you stop bleeding power in everyday interactions. Because the next 10 behaviors you're about to see do one thing very well. They make people think twice. The question is, what happens when they start thinking twice about you? Power starts the moment you realize this was never just a self-help idea. Make people respect you. Have strong boundaries. No, you are walking through the exact problem that obsessed one of history's coldest observers of power, Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli wasn't a cartoon villain twirling a mustache. He was a civil servant watching princes rise and fall. He watched friendly faces get executed. He watched loyal men lose everything because someone else controlled the fear in the room. And after seeing enough people destroyed by their own softness, he wrote a brutal sentence. It is safer to be feared than loved. Here's what most people don't realize. He wasn't saying, be a monster. He was saying, when things go wrong, love evaporates, fear stays. Love is voluntary. It can disappear the moment you stop pleasing people. Fear is about consequences. As long as people believe you can impose a cost, they hesitate before crossing you. That hesitation is where your safety lives. Now fast forward from battlefields and palaces to where your battles actually happen, not with swords, with conversations, emails, meetings, a raised eyebrow in a performance review, a delayed reply to a desperate message. You are not ordering executions, but you are constantly sending signals about how dangerous it is to disappoint you. Stop. Listen to what just happened the last time someone let you down. Did they rush to explain? Did they over-apologize? Did they check your mood before speaking? That's not random. Research on dominance and prestige shows people comply more with those they sense can impose costs, even when those costs are only implied. A bad reference, lost access, public embarrassment in front of the team. You rarely have to say it, they just feel it. Think about how many times this has happened to you at work. Two people make the same mistake. One gets blamed, one doesn't. Why? Because one of them has a reputation. The quiet one you don't interrupt. The manager whose emails you triple-check before replying. The colleague who never raises their voice, but never forgets a slight. Their calm, their unpredictability, their firm no without apology, all combine into a simple message. Crossing me is expensive. That's exactly why alliances form around them. Promotions tilt in their direction. When a project fails, their name is mysteriously absent from the list of people held responsible. No one wants to be on their bad side, so people volunteer information, offer help, and avoid testing their boundaries. They become the person no one wants to disappoint, even if no open threat was ever made. The 10 behaviors you're about to see are the modern version of Machiavelli's insight. Socially acceptable, legally safe, no shouting, no open aggression, just small, precise habits that make people feel your power without you ever having to announce it. The question is, which of these behaviors are you already using, and which ones are silently being used on you? So why do these quiet behaviors work so well? Why can someone sit there, calm and controlled, and still make the whole room adjust around them? Here's what most people don't realize. Loud aggression is actually comforting. When someone is shouting, slamming doors, throwing obvious tantrums, you can see their limits. You know when they're angry. You know what sets them off. It's messy, but it's readable, and that makes it predictable. Predictable is manageable. The real power sits with the person who doesn't leak much emotion at all. Minimal facial reactions, measured tone, slow, deliberate movements. Research on emotional regulation shows that people who display less visible reactivity are automatically judged as more powerful and harder to influence. You feel it when someone doesn't rush to defend themselves, doesn't scramble to prove they're nice or harmless. You start thinking, what are they capable of if they ever decided to stop being polite? This is the core pattern. When people cannot read you, they cannot predict you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot calculate the safe answer. So they default to over-explaining. They soften their disagreement. They check your mood before they speak. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone starts justifying a simple request, adding details you never asked for, watching your face the whole time. That is low-level fear in real time. And it doesn't feel like terror. It feels like constant background math. If I mess this up with you, what will it cost me? Their reputation, their access to you, your respect. That silent calculation is exactly why calm people are secretly intimidating. You are not chasing anyone. You are not begging for trust. You are forcing a decision. Treat me carefully or risk losing something. That's exactly why people who enforce boundaries without apology develop a reputation for being dangerous to cross. They say no once clearly, and others remember. Studies on boundary setting show that those who refuse more are rated as less nice, but more competent and powerful. In practice, it sounds like, "That doesn't work for me," delivered calmly, without a nervous smile. No drama, just consequence. Power starts the moment you realize you don't need to announce any of this out loud. Each of the 10 behaviors you're about to see is simply a different way of creating that uncertainty and cost calculation in other people's minds. No threats, no warnings, just you sitting there while everyone else edits themselves around you. Watch what changes in your life when you start using them on purpose. Fear doesn't arrive with a drum roll. It creeps in quietly through patterns, through habits, through the way you handle 100 tiny moments that everyone else thinks don't matter. Here's what most people don't realize. Fear-based respect is almost never built from one dramatic explosion, one public humiliation, one legendary confrontation. Those stories get told, but the reputation behind them was already there. The real power is built in the background, through dozens of small, consistent signals that people start to associate with you and with danger. Watch how this works. You give a short, clean no when others would apologize for 5 minutes. You hold eye contact when someone lies, and you don't rush to fill the silence. You enforce a boundary once, calmly, and then never bring it up again. One moment, then another, then another. Different situations, different people, same response pattern. Listen to what just happened. The right behavior at the right moment in front of the right person, repeated enough times, becomes your signature. You become the one who doesn't chase, the one who doesn't explain, the one who doesn't let things slide. And once that label sticks, people stop testing you directly. They start adjusting around you. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone in your life doesn't raise their voice. They don't threaten. They just have a way of going cold when a line is crossed. A way of withdrawing access, of going quiet in the conversation, of enforcing consequences without debate. You can feel when their mood shifts, even if they don't say a word. You hesitate. You correct yourself mid-sentence. You replay what you just did. That is fear built entirely out of micro-behaviors. Psychologists call this cost calculation. People unconsciously track your reactions, who you tolerate, who you correct, when you go silent, when you follow through on a decision that hurts them a little. Over time, their nervous system builds a map of you. It learns, this person is safe to disappoint, or this person is dangerous to cross. No speech, no warning, just data points. And here's the twist. Most people who create this effect are not trying to be intimidating. They are simply unwilling to play the social games of over-explaining, apologizing for existing, and softening every boundary to keep everyone comfortable. They refuse to trade their power for approval. That's exactly why others experience them as powerful, and why weaker personalities feel exposed around them. Power starts the moment you realize that these are habits, not personality traits. By the end of this video, you'll know which of these behaviors you already use without thinking, which ones you might want to cultivate on purpose, and which ones you must handle carefully so you don't isolate yourself or turn respect into quiet resentment. Because next, you're going to see the specific behaviors that flip that internal switch in other people's minds and make them think twice before ever underestimating you again. And before we go any further, you need to confront the thought that's already in your head. Isn't this toxic? Isn't making people fear you manipulative? Listen to what just happened. You heard the word fear, and your brain instantly linked it with cruelty, with abuse, with becoming the villain. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not teaching you how to terrorize people. We're teaching you how to stop looking like an easy target. Here's what most people don't realize. People already react to you with fear, comfort, or indifference based on signals you're sending without thinking. You walk into a room, you answer a question, you let a boundary slide, and a quiet decision gets made about you. Safe to push, safe to ignore, or dangerous to underestimate. This is happening whether you study it or not. So the real goal here is not to make people afraid. The real goal is control over how your presence is interpreted. You are learning how to decide which version of you walks into the conversation, the approachable one, or the one that makes people carefully measure their next move. Power starts the moment you realize you can choose. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You were kind, flexible, understanding. You gave someone access to your time, your energy, your attention. They read that softness as permission. They took more. They pushed harder. They started assuming you would always say yes. That's exactly why these behaviors matter. They are not about hostility. They are about boundaries, clarity, and emotional discipline. There are two categories of social signals you send. The first category says, you can approach casually. You can vent, overshare, waste time, test limits. There won't be consequences. The second category says, without a single threat. There are real limits here. There are real standards. If you cross them, something in this relationship will change, and not in your favor. Research on dominance and prestige shows people comply more with those they sense can inflict costs, even if those costs are just withdrawal, silence, or a closed door. That's quiet intimidation, no shouting, no drama, just a reputation that crossing you is expensive. When you understand these signals, you gain a dial, not a mask. You can turn the intensity down when you want connection and trust. You can turn it up when you need distance and protection. Approachable at work, untouchable in negotiation. Warm with friends, unmovable with manipulators. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming calibrated. And that makes you something dangerous in the best way. Strategic. You're not being extra. You're reading the invisible rules that already decide who gets respected, who gets ignored, and who gets quietly feared. In the next moments, as you hear each behavior, you'll start recognizing which signals you've been sending by accident, and which ones you're about to start sending on purpose, because one of these behaviors, when you use it correctly, can rewrite your entire reputation without you raising your voice once. Power starts the moment you realize you were trained to give it away. Long before you worried about being intimidating, you were taught something else. Be nice, be clear, be available on command. A parent's voice, answer me when I'm talking to you. A teacher's tone, explain why you're late. An authority figure's look that meant there would be consequences if you stayed silent. You learned fast that the safest thing you could do was talk, justify, reassure. Here's what most people don't realize. That training didn't feel dangerous, it felt responsible. You were praised for being so mature, so polite, so easy to talk to. Every time you quickly explained yourself, the adults around you relaxed. Their shoulders dropped, the tension disappeared. Your nervous system learned a rule. When other people are uncomfortable, you fix it with words. That became an obedience loop. They ask, you answer. They demand, you justify. They push, you soften, over and over until it stopped being a decision and became a reflex. Someone raises a question about your work, your attitude, your choice. Before you even feel the sting, your mouth is already moving, trying to make them feel safe. You are not checking whether they deserve that level of access. You are not asking whether you trust them. You are just complying. The power in that conversation never belonged to you. It was handed over the second you accepted that their discomfort was your emergency. That's exactly why certain people learn to press harder, speak sharper, and question you in public. They can feel that you will rush to fill the silence, to protect your reputation, to prove you're not a threat. Now think back. The people you quietly feared as a child were not the ones who over-explained themselves to you. They were the ones who didn't need to. A parent who could end the argument with a single look. A coach whose silence after a mistake said more than a speech. A teacher who lowered their voice instead of raising it, and the whole room fell quiet. No long justification, no nervous rambling. Just a clear sense that there were lines you did not cross. Research on dominance and prestige shows something ruthless about human nature. We comply more with people we believe can impose a cost, even if that cost is only implied. Calm silence, a delayed answer, a steady gaze. Those signals make you hard to read, and when people can't predict you, they default to caution. But your early training did the opposite. It made you predictable. At work, you over-explain every delay, every boundary, every no. In relationships, you rush to clarify your tone, soften your words, and prove you're safe. You think you're preventing conflict. In reality, you are lowering your perceived threat level to zero. You are broadcasting, you can push, I will absorb. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone questions your decision, and instead of pausing, you dump your entire thought process on the table. You hand them the map to your mind. You give them every lever they would need to pressure you later. All because that old obedience loop still fires the moment you feel watched. Power starts the moment you realize you are allowed to protect the space between what others demand and what you choose to give. That space is where fear, respect, and caution are born. The 10 behaviors you're about to see all do one thing. They quietly rebuild that space. They break the reflex to over-explain, They replace obedience with controlled unpredictability. And when you start using them, people won't be able to read you as easily. They will think twice before questioning you. They will feel that slight, unsettling pause. And that is where your new reputation begins. This is where fear actually starts. Not when you shout, not when you threaten. It starts in a tiny, almost invisible moment that most people rush straight past. Someone asks you for something. They challenge you. They make a dangerous little joke at your expense. They cross a line and then look at your face, waiting. This is the crucial micro moment. And here is the difference. Most people react. Powerful people pause. Think about how many times this has happened to you. A boss drops extra work on your desk. A friend teases you in a way that stings. A partner makes a decision for both of you without asking. Your body flares up with an automatic answer. Sure, no problem. It's fine. Nervous laugh. Quick smile. You smooth it over before you even understand what you feel. You trained them. You showed them that if they push, you will rush to make the conversation safe for them. You will fill the silence with explanations, apologies, self-deprecating jokes. You think you're keeping the peace, but you're broadcasting something else. You don't have to respect my limits. I'll negotiate against myself. Here's what most people don't realize. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. When you don't answer right away, when you hold the question in the air and simply look at the person, their mind starts working overtime. Did they go too far? Are you angry? Are you deciding whether to pull away from them entirely? That uncertainty is where quiet intimidation is born. People who are quietly feared are comfortable in that space. They let the pause sit. They breathe. They think. They are not in a hurry to rescue the other person from discomfort. They are not in a hurry to rescue themselves from it either. That's exactly why others start to treat them carefully. The cost of provoking them is unknown. Research on unpredictability shows that when people can't easily predict your reaction, they default to caution. They overcorrect. They explain more. They check your mood before they speak. You didn't threaten them. You didn't raise your voice. You just stopped giving instant, predictable approval. Power starts the moment you realize that this gap between stimulus and response is your real weapon. In that gap, you can decide, do I agree? Do I challenge? Do I walk away? Or do I simply let them feel the weight of what they just did without rushing to make it easier? Many of the behaviors you're about to see are nothing more than different ways of expanding and controlling that pause. They slow the conversation. They interrupt the old reflex to explain yourself. They make every person who deals with you ask a silent, nervous question. What are they going to do? In the next behavior, you'll see how to use that same pause not just to hold your ground, but to make other people expose their intentions first. That's the shift you're building toward, from automatic explaining to deliberate silence. Right now, your default identity in a conversation is very different. You say yes, then explain why. You say no, then soften it, then apologize for how it sounded. Someone talks over you, makes a dangerous little joke at your expense, and you laugh it off. You smile. You act like it's nothing. And then you go home and replay it, feeling a quiet resentment that never leaves. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You over-explain a decision to make everyone feel safe. You justify your boundaries like you're on trial. You give a long answer when a short one would do because you're afraid someone will think you're cold, arrogant, difficult. Here's what most people don't realize. That fear is exactly what keeps them powerless. The more you explain, the more you teach people that your no is negotiable. Now contrast that with your future self. Words are fewer, sharper. When you speak, you don't rush. You don't fill the silence. You make a decision and state it once. No nervous laughter at disrespect. No automatic smile to signal that everything is fine. Your boundaries are not a debate topic, they're a known fact. In that future, you walk into a room and the temperature changes. People straighten up without knowing why. They lower their voice a little when they address you. They don't bombard you with questions. They choose their words carefully, not because you're aggressive, but because you're hard to read, unpredictable. Research on dominance shows people comply more with those who can inflict costs without ever saying a threat out loud. That's exactly why quiet people with firm limits feel dangerous to cross. Watch how the external details shift. Before they interrupt you, they glance at your face to check your mood. Before they cancel on you, they rehearse an excuse because they know you don't tolerate casual disrespect. Before a meeting with you, they over-prepare, bring evidence, think through objections. They don't want to be caught off guard. They don't want to feel small in front of you. Power starts the moment you realize you can create that reaction without raising your voice. Inside, the transformation is even more important. Less anxiety about being liked, more focus on being clear. You stop monitoring every micro expression for signs of approval and start asking a better question. Am I being honest about what I will and will not accept? Your emotional reactivity drops. You decide when to show warmth and when to stay cold, not because you are cruel, but because you are strategic with your energy and your trust. By the end of this video, you'll have a menu of 10 specific behaviors that build that identity piece by piece. 10 ways to speak, pause, refuse, and redirect that make people secretly fear wasting your time. And the very first one? It's the behavior almost everyone underestimates because it looks weak on the surface, until you see what it really forces other people to reveal. So now we move from theory to contact, from understanding why quiet fear protects you, to the exact behaviors that make it real in the room you're standing in. Up to this point, you've been looking at the idea from above. Fear, respect, boundaries, reputation, useful but abstract. Now we drop it into your actual life. The way you walk into a meeting, answer a message, react when someone pushes too far, because that's where power is won or lost. Not in what you believe, but in what you repeatedly do. Here's what most people don't realize. Fear in everyday relationships rarely comes from open threats or explosive anger. It comes from patterns, small, consistent signals that tell everyone around you the same thing. Crossing you has a cost. No screaming, no drama, just the quiet understanding that if they waste your time, disrespect your boundaries, or play with your trust, something in that relationship will change, and not in their favor. You'll see these 10 behaviors show up everywhere. In the way a manager ends a conversation without apologizing, in the way a friend refuses to be pulled into gossip, in the way someone you're dating goes silent instead of chasing when you play games. Different settings, work, friendships, dating, family, but the message is identical. You are not safe to exploit. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those they believe can impose costs, even if those costs are only implied. That's exactly why a person who almost never raises their voice can still make a whole room edit themselves. They're hard to read. They're emotionally controlled. You don't know how they'll respond if you push too far, so you don't push. Power starts the moment you realize you don't need all 10 behaviors to create that effect. You don't need to become a different person. You need leverage points. 2 or 3 of these, used consistently, are enough to change how people speak to you, how they speak about you when you're not there, and how carefully they make any decision that touches your life. The goal is not to become universally feared. The goal is to be the person others instinctively double-check before they lie, before they overstep, before they treat you as the safe option for their irresponsibility. Fear, in this sense, is simply risk awareness. They know that mishandling you is dangerous to their comfort, We're going to move through these 10 behaviors in a deliberate order. First, the most subtle and misunderstood signals, the ones people mistake for weakness. Then step by step into the behaviors that, once you notice them, are unmistakable. You'll start seeing them in powerful people everywhere. And the very first behavior, it looks like simple quietness. No confrontation, no speech, just one specific kind of silence that makes people triple check what they say, how they say it, and whether they should be saying it to you at all. Behavior number 1, strategic silence. When saying nothing says everything. Someone makes a questionable joke about you in front of others. The room looks at you, waiting for your laugh, your comeback, your reassurance that everything is fine. But you don't give it, you just look at them. No smile, no frown, just stillness. That 2-second pause feels longer than the entire conversation. Here's what most people don't realize. In that moment, you are the most powerful person in the room, because everyone else is scrambling in their head to answer one silent question. How bad was that? The joker starts talking faster. You know, I'm just messing with you. Relax, it's just a joke. They rush to fill the space you left empty because your silence forced them to hear themselves. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone crosses a small boundary. They forget to ask before using your time, your things, your name. Or they deliver bad news with a casual shrug. By the way, they cut your hours. Nothing I could do. Most people react instantly. They joke back. They say, it's fine. They start smoothing over the discomfort so everyone feels safe again. And when you do that, you take the weight off the person who actually caused the problem. Strategic silence does the opposite. You hear what they said. You let it land. You don't argue. You don't explode. You don't perform. You just hold eye contact and stay quiet for a beat too long. Stop. Listen to what just happened. They start explaining. They start minimizing. They start confessing details you never asked for because the silence feels dangerous to them. Your lack of instant emotional feedback forces them to confront their own behavior without you lifting a finger. That's exactly why this kind of quietness is more unsettling than open anger. Anger is loud, predictable, easy to manage. People know how to defend, how to argue back, how to flip the script. But when you stay calm and unreadable, they can't tell if you're offended, disappointed, or taking mental notes for later. Unpredictability increases perceived threat. When people can't predict your reaction, they default to caution. Over time, a pattern forms. The same people who once pushed your boundaries start editing themselves around you. They think twice before making you the punchline. They hesitate before dumping consequences in your lap. They check your mood before speaking because they have learned that one quiet look from you can turn a light conversation into a mirror they don't want to face. This is not passive aggression. Passive aggression is emotional manipulation, sulking, hinting, punishing, while pretending to be fine. Strategic silence is different. It is deliberate, observant stillness. You are not pretending. You are watching. You are deciding. Power starts the moment you realize you do not owe anyone an instant reaction. And once people see that their charm, pressure, and jokes do not move you on command, they stop treating you like a safe target. They start treating you like someone it is dangerous to underestimate. Next, you'll see what happens when that same calm silence is combined with one very direct word: no. That very same calm silence becomes something else when you pair it with one small, brutal word: no. And after you say it, you do something most people are incapable of doing. You stop talking. Here's what most people don't realize. The moment you go quiet after a boundary, the real conversation doesn't happen out loud. It explodes in the other person's head. They replay what they just said. They rewind the last 5 minutes. They scan your face for tiny clues. Was that a frown? Did your eyes narrow? Are you offended, disappointed, done with them? Inside, they start editing themselves in real time. Did I push too far? Did I sound entitled? Did I just make a dangerous mistake with this person? While you sit there, still and composed, they scramble to rewrite the scene so they don't come out looking like the villain. Notice what you are not doing. You are not arguing, so they cannot fight you. You are not reassuring, so they cannot relax. You are not explaining, so they cannot twist your words. You leave them alone with the one thing people run from their entire lives, their own awareness that they just crossed a line. Without raising your voice, without a single insult, you shifted the responsibility for the tension onto them. They feel it, they own it, they rush to fix it. Sorry, that came out wrong. I didn't mean it like that. If that doesn't work for you, we can change it. They start negotiating with the silence. Now add the nonverbal power. Steady eye contact. Not aggressive, not staring them down, just unblinking attention. Relaxed posture. Shoulders loose, hands still, no fidgeting. Slow movements when you do speak or shift. These are dominance cues. Research on emotional regulation shows that the person who looks less reactive is seen as more powerful, harder to influence, and more dangerous to disappoint. Think about how many times this has happened to you in reverse. You crossed a small boundary with someone who rarely speaks, and suddenly you were talking twice as fast, justifying, over-explaining, trying to pull their approval back out of the air. That's exactly why this behavior works. Because their calm silence made you fear their disappointment more than you feared their anger. Anger burns hot and fades. Disappointment lingers. People will walk on eggshells around someone whose quiet evaluation feels like a verdict. Power starts the moment you realize you do not have to threaten anyone. You only have to make it clear through silence and stillness that you are always keeping score. But there is a line. When strategic silence turns into stonewalling, punishment, or games, it stops being powerful and becomes toxic. In a moment, you'll see the behavior that prevents that. The one that mixes this quiet pressure with a very selective, very disarming warmth. And that combination is what truly scares people. Behavior number 2, being hard to read. The calculated mystery effect. Strategic silence is powerful, but what really unnerves people is when they cannot read you. Not your face, not your tone, not your next move. You sit there, calm, attentive, but your inner world is not spilling out on the table like everyone else's. That gap between what you feel and what you show, that's where fear starts to grow. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You're in a conversation. Someone makes a bold claim, a risky joke, a subtle insult, and you don't react right away. You don't rush to say, "No worries." You don't instantly smile to make them feel safe. You just look at them, neutral, composed. They start talking faster, they start explaining, they start wondering, did I just cross a line? Here's what most people don't realize. Most social anxiety is not about what you did. It's about what people cannot predict. Research on emotional regulation shows that people who reveal less visible reactivity are automatically read as more powerful and harder to influence. When others can't tell if you're impressed, disappointed, bored, or quietly furious, their brain flags you as a potential threat. Not because you're yelling, but because they can't see the cost of upsetting you. When people can't read you, they start filling in the blanks with their own fear. They overperform, they over-explain. They repeat their point 3 different ways just to make sure you aren't secretly judging them. They check your mood before they disagree. They treat every answer from you like a decision from a higher court, because they don't know how you'll respond next. This doesn't mean you become robotic. That's not power, that's dysfunction. The calculated mystery effect is about being selective, not frozen. You decide who gets full emotional transparency and who only gets the professional, controlled version of you. Close allies might see you laugh, vent, or admit insecurity. Casual co-workers, opportunists, and energy vampires. They get calm, minimal reactions, and carefully chosen words. Unpredictability is dangerous in one specific way. People can't map out how to manipulate you. Studies on perceived threat show that when someone's reactions are hard to predict, others default to caution and compliance. That's exactly why emotionally explosive people are less feared over time. Everyone can see their pattern. But the person who stays measured, who doesn't show all their cards in the first 5 minutes of a conversation, is treated like a locked safe. And then the gossip starts. Because you don't narrate every feeling, other people do it for you. They say, "I don't know what they're thinking. You never know where you stand. Be careful." They notice everything. The stories about you become more dramatic than your actual behavior. Your silence gets rewritten as strategy. Your neutrality becomes legend. Without raising your voice, you become the person it feels risky to cross. In a moment, you'll see what happens when this emotional opacity is paired with one more behavior. A very controlled way of revealing warmth that makes people chase your approval even harder. That controlled warmth you show, the smile that appears and disappears on your schedule. Now watch what happens when you add one more ingredient. People can't predict exactly how you'll respond when they cross a line. This is where quiet intimidation turns into a double-edged sword. Because unpredictability is powerful and dangerous. Used well, it keeps you safe. Used badly, it destroys trust and makes you look unstable. Here's what most people don't realize. There are two completely different versions of being hard to read: strategic unpredictability and pure inconsistency. Strategic unpredictability means your values are fixed, but your reactions are not a simple formula anyone can game. Inconsistency means your values, your standards, your decisions all change with your mood. One earns respect, the other makes people walk on eggshells and secretly plan their exit. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You know someone whose rules change every day. One moment they explode over nothing, the next they ignore a serious issue. You don't feel awe around that person, you feel unsafe. Your nervous system is busy scanning for danger, not listening to their words. That's not power, that's chaos. Strategic unpredictability looks very different. People always know what you stand for. They know you value respect, honesty, time, effort. Those principles are public, consistent, non-negotiable. What they don't know is exactly where the threshold is or how you'll enforce it this time. That gap is where fear and respect quietly grow. Watch this pattern. Sometimes when someone is 5 minutes late, you let it slide and move on. Another time, you address it directly. Let's agree to be on time. My schedule isn't flexible. And once in a while, when someone keeps pushing, you enforce a hard consequence. You end the meeting early, cancel the favor, or remove their access. No tantrum, no speech, just a clean decision. You didn't threaten anyone, you didn't advertise the penalty in advance, but you also didn't react the same way every single time. Now, manipulators have a problem. They can't map you perfectly. They can't find the exact point where you break. So they stop playing games with your boundaries. Research on dominance and prestige shows people comply more with those who can quietly inflict costs, even if those costs are only implied. That's exactly why this works. Your unpredictability is not about being emotional. It's about being hard to exploit. Power starts the moment you realize people should always be able to predict your principles but never feel fully certain about your next move. That's the balance. Clear values, unclear penalties. Because in the next behavior, the fear stops being vague. It becomes very concrete, very fast. You'll see what happens when that same calm, unreadable person says one word without apology, without softening, without negotiation. No. Behavior 3, the unapologetic. No boundaries that actually bite. This is where people stop guessing and start adjusting. One word, no apology, no story, no nervous laugh to make it feel softer. Just, no, that doesn't work for me. Here's what most people don't realize. They have been trained to use a soft no. It sounds like this. I'm so sorry. I would love to. It's just that I've been really busy and I feel bad. Maybe next time? It's long. It's padded with guilt. It invites negotiation. You think you're being polite, but you just told the other person that if they push a little, you'll bend. Now, contrast that with a clean no. No, I won't be able to do that. Full stop. No explanation unless you choose to give one. Same decision. Completely different signal. One sounds like a request for understanding, the other sounds like a boundary. In the first version, the power stays with them. They get to weigh your reasons, argue with them, search for loopholes. In the second, the power stays with you. There is no question to debate. There is only your decision. Research on boundary setting backs this up. When people say no clearly and consistently, they are rated as less nice, but more competent, more leader-like, and more powerful. They become the person others don't want to disappoint, or worse, provoke. That faint edge of fear you feel around certain people. It often starts with how easily they refuse you, because an unapologetic no tells the room something critical. You are not afraid of disappointing people. You are not trading your peace for their approval. That's exactly why people recalibrate around you. They stop assuming you will absorb every inconvenience. They start asking themselves a new question before they approach you. Is this worth it? Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone drops a last-minute favor on your lap. Could you just cover my shift? It's only this once. The trained response is to scramble, explain, apologize. Your new response is calm. No, I'm not available for that. No story, no guilt, just a clear line. An invitation comes in that you don't want. You should come, everyone's going. You don't manufacture a fake emergency. You say, no, I'll pass. That's it. Or someone crosses a behavioral line. They raise their voice, make a cutting joke, touch you in a way you don't accept. You don't launch into a lecture. You say, don't do that again. And you leave the silence in place. Power starts the moment you realize you don't owe anyone a courtroom-grade explanation for every boundary you set. Over time, a pattern forms. People stop bringing you low-value requests because they know the answer will be firm. They stop testing disrespectful behavior because the cost of crossing you feels real, even if you never raise your voice. And this is where fear becomes efficient. You say less, they think more. But what happens when someone ignores the no and pushes anyway? That's where the next behavior turns quiet boundaries into visible consequences. Why your no terrifies people more than you realize. When someone like that finally pushes anyway and hits a wall, something shifts, not in you, in them, because they just discovered a dangerous fact. Their usual tricks don't work here. Here's what most people don't realize. A huge number of people are used to getting their way through pressure, guilt, or persistence. They lean on you. They repeat the request. They hint that you're selfish. They act disappointed. And most of the time, the other person eventually caves. That pattern is their private source of power. So when you say no once, say it calmly and don't move. You don't just block a favor. You threaten their entire strategy. Watch the micro reactions the next time this happens. First, there's the slight shock, that tiny pause where their brain stalls. Then comes the scramble for a reason. Why not? It won't take long. It's really important. They start negotiating with your time, your energy, your boundaries. When that fails, they try to renegotiate the frame itself. I'd do it for you. I thought we were close. The content of the request changed, but the question underneath stayed the same. Can I still control you the way I control everyone else? And your power lives in your answer to that question. You don't raise your voice. You don't write a speech. You don't justify, over-explain, or defend. You simply refuse to be dragged into a debate you never agreed to have. No, that doesn't work for me. Then silence. That calm refusal is what scares them because there's nothing to argue with. No emotional handle to grab. Think about how many times this has happened to you from the other side. You pushed, they resisted once, then folded. Your nervous system is trained to expect that outcome. So when someone doesn't fold, it feels bigger than one decision. It feels like a new rule being written in real time. That's exactly why your consistent no becomes a law in their mind. If I cross this person's line, there will be no negotiation, no emotional bargaining, just a closed door. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those they believe can impose real costs, even if those costs are only implied. Your cost is simple. Access. When you say no and mean it, access is revoked. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote that fear doesn't come from speeches, it comes from consequences remembered. Power starts the moment you realize that people are not afraid of your words. They are afraid of what happened the last time someone tried to push past them. One failed manipulation becomes a permanent warning sign in their memory. And that's where your silence becomes more powerful than any argument. Because the next behavior is not about your no at all. It's about what happens when they break your trust. And you stop explaining, stop engaging, and let the quiet do the punishing. Behavior number 4 is where people stop underestimating you. This is not about raising your voice. This is about disappearing with teeth. Someone crosses a major line, not a small mistake, a real violation. They betray a confidence. They humiliate you in front of others. They step on the same boundary for the 3rd time after promising to do better. Most people would explode, send paragraphs, demand a long conversation to work it out. You don't. You simply start withdrawing access. Here's what most people don't realize. The loud argument feels safer than the quiet cutoff. A fight means there is still a relationship to fight for. There are still negotiations, still chances, still emotional fireworks that suggest you care enough to stay in the ring. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop giving them a new audience for their excuses, something far more dangerous happens. The conversation ends, but the consequences don't. You become calm, short, polite, but distant. Messages get slower. Invitations stop. Information dries up. They feel it in 100 tiny ways. They no longer know your plans, your thoughts, your life. Power starts the moment you realize that you do not owe them a dramatic exit speech. Your decision is simple. Access revoked. You replaced emotional chaos with predictable distance. No threats, no scenes, just a stable new reality where they are on the outside looking in. Research on dominance and prestige shows people comply more with those who can impose costs, even when those costs are only implied. Losing your access is a cost, and they feel it every time they see you being warm and open with someone else. Think about how many times this has happened to you from the other side. You took someone for granted, pushed, tested, assumed they would always be there. Then one day the energy changed. They didn't yell. They didn't accuse, they just stopped being available. That hollow feeling in your chest, that is the fear of finality. That's exactly why this behavior builds a powerful reputation. Because here is the unspoken rule. Everyone around you starts to learn. If you lose this person, you do not get them back the same way. Even if they forgive, the level of access is permanently lower. Certain doors stay closed, certain conversations never happen again, and people are watching. Colleagues see what happened to the coworker who lied. Friends remember what happened to the one who gossiped. Family notices who is no longer allowed to speak to you any kind of way. Over time, they adjust. They hesitate before crossing a line. They measure their words. They treat your trust as something dangerous to lose because they have seen what happens when it breaks. And this is crucial. You do not use this over small mistakes. You reserve it for real violations, so when the cutoff comes, no one is confused about why. In the next behavior, that same quiet reputation turns into something even stronger. People start policing themselves before they ever test you at all. That's when something interesting happens. You cut someone off quietly, no speech, no scene, just distance. But the story doesn't end there, because the person you walked away from cannot leave it alone. They have to explain you. They have to explain what happened to their audience. So they start talking to friends, to coworkers, to anyone who will listen. And the story always sounds the same. I don't even know what happened. One day we were fine. The next day they just stopped talking to me. They try to paint themselves as the confused victim. They add excuses. They add context. They add a long emotional defense. While they're busy justifying, they are also testifying. Without meaning to, they're broadcasting a pattern. You do not tolerate certain behavior. You do not reward disrespect with endless chances. You do not argue for your own standards. You enforce them in silence, and then you leave. Here's what most people don't realize. The listeners are not actually focused on the excuses. They're tracking the outcome. They're thinking, so you lied to them, you used them, you disrespected their boundary, and they didn't scream, they disappeared. The details blur, the result sticks. Psychology research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those who can inflict costs, even when those costs are only implied. Your cutoff is that implied cost. It's not physical, it's social. Access to you, access to your help, your information, your presence. Once it's gone, they feel it. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You meet someone new, and before you've even formed an opinion, you've already heard the warning label. Just don't lie to her, she'll drop you fast. Don't play games with him, he won't give you a second chance. You have zero direct experience, but you already feel cautious, don't you? That is secondhand fear. People who have never been cut off by you still move more carefully around you because they've heard what happens to the ones who push too far. They check their words. They double-check their decisions. They sense that you are safe to trust, but dangerous to cross. Power starts the moment you realize you don't need to advertise your standards. You never have to make a dramatic announcement. You never have to threaten. The way you end access becomes the story that circulates for you. Your silence does the talking. Your absence becomes the answer to the question, what happens if I cross them? And this is where your reputation shifts into something even more powerful. Because the next behavior doesn't use distance at all. It uses the opposite. It's what happens when you walk into a room and people straighten up before you say a single word. Behavior number 5, nonverbal dominance, owning space without saying a word. You walk in, you don't rush, you don't smile too wide, you just exist in the room, and suddenly everyone edits themselves. They lower their volume, they watch your face for micro reactions, they feel it before they can explain it. Your body is doing the talking. Here's what most people don't realize. Fear doesn't start with raised voices or open threats. It starts with quiet, physical signals that say, without language, I am not easily moved. Steady eye contact, slower speech, a relaxed posture that doesn't collapse to make others comfortable. You take up space at the table instead of shrinking to the edges. Your hands stay still when other people would fidget under pressure. Those cues look harmless. They look calm, even friendly. That's exactly why they're dangerous, because your words can be soft while your presence is hard. You say, no rush, take your time, but your unblinking attention tells them there is a right answer. You say, It's okay, speak freely, but your stillness makes them rehearse every sentence before they let it out. Think about how many times this has happened to you. A meeting starts, and while everyone else hovers near the side chairs, you walk straight to the central seat and claim it without hesitation. You don't apologize. You don't over-explain. During the discussion, others shift in their chairs, tap pens, adjust their clothes. You stay planted. When someone challenges you, you don't rush to defend yourself. You just look at them and hold eye contact one beat longer than is comfortable. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't pull rank. But in that tiny extra beat of eye contact, their brain ran a threat assessment. Research on dominance and status shows that people instinctively read steady gaze, stillness, and space-taking as signs of higher rank and potential cost. Their body registers, if I push this person, it might not end well for me, long before their mind finds the words. Power starts the moment you realize that humans are wired to obey these signals, even when you have no official authority. Studies on emotional regulation find that the less visibly reactive you are, the more powerful and unpredictable you seem. And unpredictability makes people cautious. They over-prepare around you. They double-check their decisions. They treat your attention like a test they must pass. That's the hidden effect of non-verbal dominance. It forces performance. People feel they have to show up right in front of you. They over-explain, over-deliver, and avoid wasting your time. Not because you told them to, but because your presence makes them afraid to disappoint you. And once your physical presence alone can do that, the next behavior becomes even more unsettling. Because then it's not just how you sit or stand that unnerves people. It's how little you reveal when they try to get close. It's how little you reveal when they try to get close. Watch what happens in a basic challenge. Someone questions your decision in front of others. Their voice gets a little sharper. Their body leans in. The whole conversation tilts toward confrontation. Most people react the same way. They lean forward, talk faster, defend, explain, justify. Their body starts answering a question their mouth hasn't even dealt with yet. Am I threatened? The moment you lean in and speed up, you silently confess that the other person has pulled you onto their terrain. Your nervous system is chasing them. Your body is saying, you set the frame, I'll respond. That's exactly why they feel bolder with every word. They can sense that they're steering the interaction, even if you technically have the better argument. Now flip it. Same challenge, same words. But this time, you lean back a few centimeters. Your spine stays tall. Your shoulders drop. You breathe out slowly before you answer. Your voice gets lower, not louder. Slower, not faster. You leave a beat of silence hanging in the air, like a question they suddenly aren't sure they want answered. In that moment, your body is sending a different message. I am not in danger. I have time. I am evaluating you. You're not rushing to protect your image. You're observing theirs. Power starts the moment you realize that stillness is a decision, not an accident. When you choose not to chase, the other person has to come to you. Here's what most people don't realize. Dominance is often measured in motion. The more animated person feels like the one doing something, but the still person is the one being done to. When you remain physically calm while they get louder, faster, more expressive, the power dynamic quietly flips. They start explaining themselves. They start over-clarifying. They start auditioning for your approval, because your lack of visible reaction makes them question where they stand with you. Think about how many times this has happened to you without you naming it. You were in a room with someone who barely moved, barely reacted, and you caught yourself working harder to keep their trust, to stay on their good side, to avoid saying the wrong thing. They didn't threaten you. They didn't raise their voice. Their restraint did the work for them. This is why you don't need aggression to be dangerous. Calm, dominant body language paired with measured, precise words makes people quietly fear wasting your time or disrespecting you. You look like the person who will make a cold decision if they push too far. And when you combine that physical stillness with the next behavior, it becomes even more unsettling. Because next, you're going to strip almost all emotional decoration out of your speech and let your words land harder and linger longer than any raised voice ever could. Behavior number 6, minimal words, maximum impact. Now the way you speak has to match the way you move. That same stillness shifts into your language. No extra decoration, no emotional padding. Just clean, sharp sentences that feel more like decisions than opinions. Here's what most people don't realize. Most conversations are built on rambling and repetition. People circle their point. They over-explain, apologize, soften, and then say, "Does that make sense?" As if they need permission to be clear. You do the opposite. You say the thing once, directly, and you stop. The contrast alone is unsettling. Watch what happens when someone asks, "So, are you okay with this?" Most people launch into a paragraph. They justify, they explain their history, they manage the other person's feelings. You don't. You say, "No, I'm not," and you go silent. No lecture, no long emotional negotiation, just a clear answer and a wall of quiet. Your words ended. Their mind started. They rush to fill the silence, to fix it, to clarify, to bargain with you. The power flips instantly because you are not scrambling to be understood. They are scrambling not to be on the wrong side of your decision. People who are quietly feared rarely repeat themselves. They don't say, "Just to be clear," 3 different ways. They don't restate their boundary 5 times. They state it once, "Don't do that again." Then they leave space. That silence does more damage than shouting ever could, because it forces the other person to replay that one sentence in their head all night. You also strip out the nervous fillers and disclaimers that make most people sound weak. "No, I'm sorry, but," "No, I could be wrong," "No, I don't want to be difficult." You use simple, direct sentences. "This doesn't work for me," "That won't happen," "We're done here." These lines are hard to argue with because there is nothing extra to grab onto. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You were about to push a little, complain a little, demand a little, and then you remembered that this person does not do long debates. They don't get dragged into emotional spirals. They won't sit there while you test every angle. So you edited yourself before you even opened your mouth. That's exactly why brevity is dangerous. It forces everyone around you to think before they speak. Machiavelli understood this. He hinted that the more you talk, the more you give away. Every extra word reveals fear, desire, insecurity, and attachment. When you speak less, people are left alone with your silence, and they project their own fears into it. Did you take that personally? Are you planning something? Are you done with them? They don't know, so they play it safe. Power starts the moment you realize that clarity plus silence is a weapon. But there is one more layer that makes this truly unnerving. When your words are this sharp and your reactions are this controlled, people start to fear not just what you say, but what you never say out loud. But what you never say out loud. Now watch what happens when you do the opposite. When every sentence you speak comes wrapped in disclaimers, context, and apologies. When you cannot say anything without immediately explaining why you said it. The fear you just built? Gone? Evaporated. Over-explaining feels safe. It feels polite. It feels like you're protecting the relationship. Here's what most people don't realize. Over-explaining is usually a subconscious attempt to manage other people's emotions. You're not just giving an answer, you're trying to control their reaction. "I'm not mad, I'm just tired." "I didn't mean it like that." "I only said that because..." You are begging them to see your good intentions. The moment you start piling on justifications, You announce that their feelings are more powerful than your position. You show that you are more afraid of being misunderstood than they are of misunderstanding you. That flips the entire fear dynamic. They are not worried about how you see them. You are worried about how they see you. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You set a boundary, then immediately soften it. I can't make it tonight. I've just been really overwhelmed. I hope that's okay. We can do another day. The first sentence had power. The next three took it away. Research on emotional regulation shows that people who stay calm and concise are perceived as more powerful and harder to influence. When you over-explain, you signal the opposite. Push me a little and I will start defending myself. Feared individuals operate differently. They tolerate being misread in the short term. They know that one conversation does not define their reputation. Their consistent behavior does. Someone misinterprets their silence? Fine. Someone assumes they are upset? Fine. They do not rush in to fix every perception. Over time, people learn this person means what they say, and they don't chase you to make you comfortable about it. That's exactly why their presence feels dangerous to cross. Not because they threaten you, but because they never scramble to prove they're harmless. Power starts the moment you realize you do not owe anyone a full emotional autopsy every time you make a decision. So practice this. End your sentences sooner. Say, "No, that doesn't work for me," and stop. Resist the urge to add 3 excuses. Let the silence do its job. Let other people sit with the clarity of your words without you cushioning the impact. Because the next behavior takes this even further. It's the point where people stop fearing just your words and start fearing your standards. Not because you talk about them, but because you live by them relentlessly, and you expect everyone around you to keep up. Behavior number 7, ruthless self-standards, the intimidation of discipline. There is a different kind of fear, not fear of your anger, fear of your standards. People are not worried you will explode. They are worried they will be exposed. You're the person who shows up on time, every time. You walk in prepared, notes already organized, decisions already thought through. You don't demand anything from others that you don't quietly demand twice as hard from yourself. If you expect someone at 8, you're there at 7:50. If you ask for quality, your own work is brutal proof that it's possible. Here's what most people don't realize. That level of discipline creates an invisible pressure field around you. The moment you enter a room, everyone's laziness, everyone's excuses, everyone's half-effort suddenly has a mirror held up to it. You don't need to say a word. Their own behavior starts to look cheap next to yours. Think about how many times this has happened to you from the other side. You're standing next to someone who clearly prepared. They read the brief. They did the research. They anticipated questions. Suddenly your "I didn't have time" feels very small, very fragile, and very obvious. That's exactly why people begin to tread carefully around someone with ruthless self-standards. In your presence, shortcuts glow in neon. The person who scrolls their phone during work, the friend who always forgets commitments, the coworker who wings every presentation, they all feel the contrast. They know that if they try to hide behind excuses, it will be painfully clear who actually respects their own word and who doesn't. You became dangerous without raising your voice, without issuing a single threat. You rarely complain. You rarely blame. When something goes wrong, you don't launch into a speech about unfairness. You stay calm, adjust, and outwork the problem until it moves. Power starts the moment you realize how unsettling that is for other people. Because every time you quietly fix what others broke, every time you deliver without drama while they deliver explanations, you are sending a message. Effort is not negotiable here. And they hear it even when you never say it out loud. This is why people start to fear your judgment. not because you criticize loudly, but because your example is a constant comparison. They imagine what you must be thinking when they show up late, unprepared or full of reasons. They project your standards onto themselves and feel the gap as shame. So they over-explain. They rush to tell you why they're behind, why they didn't follow through, why this time is different. They are not just defending their actions. They are defending themselves against the silent verdict they believe you are capable of. In social psychology, people comply more with those they see as capable of inflicting costs, even if those costs are only implied. Your cost is simple: looking bad in front of you, losing your respect, losing access to someone who treats their own time, word, and energy as non-negotiable. And that is the real fear. Feared individuals are often the ones others do not want to disappoint. They might like you, trust you, even seek your advice, but under that warmth is a very real tension. I cannot afford to be seen as weak here, because the next behavior pushes that tension even further. It's what happens when your standards don't just shape how you work, but how you let people treat you. When your standards stop at how you work and extend into how you let people treat you, something subtle happens. The room starts editing itself around you. People still laugh, still talk, still act friendly, but underneath, they are running calculations. Can I stand next to this without being exposed? At first, they admire it. Colleagues watch you show up prepared, on time, delivering exactly what you said you would. Friends see you keep your word, protect your schedule, guard your energy. They tell you you're so disciplined, as if it's a compliment. But watch what happens after a few weeks of standing next to that. The ones who live on excuses start canceling. The ones who cut corners stop inviting you, not because you attacked them, because your existence makes their comfort look like negligence. Here's what most people don't realize. Your standards function like a mirror that never blinks. You don't have to lecture anyone. You don't have to ask a single dangerous question. You just keep doing what you do. Following through, saying no when something violates your boundaries, refusing to drop to the lowest common denominator. And suddenly people feel naked around you. Every late arrival, every broken promise, every lazy decision is highlighted by contrast. So they have two options: rise or leave. That's it. Some will quietly level up. They start showing up earlier. They double-check their work before it reaches you. They think twice before wasting your time because they know you do not treat time as disposable. Others take the second path. They drift. They forget to loop you in. They start projects without you. They say you're intense or too serious because it's easier than admitting, "I don't want to grow." And that's exactly why your orbit becomes sharper over time. The people who remain are the ones who respect standards, who understand power, who feel safe in a room where effort is normal and excuses are not. Social psychology calls this a selection effect. The environment filters who can stay. You live it in real time. The more consistent you are, the more your circle concentrates into serious, focused, respectful people who do not want to be the weak link. You never threatened anyone. You barely even corrected people. Your consistency did all the talking. Your calm no, your quiet excellence, your refusal to participate in chaos, those became the rules of engagement. Power starts the moment you realize you don't need to enforce those rules out loud. People enforce them on themselves when they're around you. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone starts over-explaining why they're late. They rush to reassure you they're on it before you even ask. They preemptively apologize for small mistakes. They are not afraid of your anger, they are afraid of losing your respect. Because the next behavior takes that fear and focuses it. It's not about your standards anymore, it's about your attention. When people realize your focus is a scarce resource that can be withdrawn, the real intimidation begins. Behavior on number 8, selective attention, making your focus a privilege. You don't scare people by being everywhere. You scare them by being selective. When your attention is not automatic, not guaranteed, it becomes a quiet source of power that everyone feels and nobody wants to lose. Here's what most people don't realize. Most people spray their attention across everyone in the room. They laugh with everyone, text everyone back instantly, overshare with whoever happens to be standing closest. You do the opposite. You invest deeply in a few people or projects, and with everyone else, you stay calm, polite, and distant. Not cold, just unavailable. You didn't insult anyone. You didn't make a speech about standards. You simply refused to give equal attention to everyone. That alone is enough to shift the entire social hierarchy. Because when your attention is rare, people start treating it as a privilege, not an entitlement. They lean in when you speak. They over-explain themselves to you. They check where your head is at before bringing you problems. Why? Because they can feel that your approval is not being chased. You are not forcing connection. You are not begging to be liked. You respond more fully to respect, effort, and reliability, and you let everyone else sit in the gray zone of polite distance. Power starts the moment you realize you don't have to chase anyone's attention. You answer messages when it actually fits your priorities. You give emotional energy to people who have proven they can hold it safely. You don't reward inconsistency with more chances. You let silence do the work. And once your focus moves away from someone who took it for granted, it does not boomerang back on demand. That's exactly why people quietly fear losing your interest. They've seen you redirect your energy before. 1 month you're all in on a collaboration, then you notice the other person cutting corners, gossiping, or disrespecting your time. You don't explode, you don't argue, you just stop investing. Meetings get shorter, replies get slower, invitations disappear, and everyone watching learns. When you close that door, it usually stays closed. This is Machiavellian information control in real time. The less access people have to your inner world, the more they value the rare moments when you fully engage. Your thoughts are not a group chat. Your plans are not a public announcement. You reveal selectively to those who've earned it. That controlled mystery makes people cautious. It makes them choose their words carefully. It makes them afraid to waste their one shot at your full attention. And the next behavior takes that mystery even further. It's not just what you focus on, but what you never explain. The decisions you make without giving anyone a reason. The decisions you make without giving anyone a reason. That's where the scarcity principle quietly takes over. When something about you is hard to access, hard to read, or hard to obtain, people feel two things at the same time: desire and fear. They want more of you, and they're afraid of doing anything that would make you pull away. Here's what most people don't realize. Your time, your attention, your emotional energy are already scarce resources. But when you act like they're unlimited, when you scatter them across every notification, every pointless conversation, every person who demands an answer, you train the world to see you as cheap, abundant, safe to waste. Scarcity flips that. The moment you stop being endlessly available, people's psychology changes. Research on dominance and prestige shows that we comply more with those who can impose costs on us, even if those costs are only implied. When you don't give yourself freely, the cost of losing you feels higher, so people step carefully. Think about how many times this has happened to you. There's a person who never texts first, never chases, never over-explains. You find yourself editing your messages to them. You reread before you hit send. You show up on time. You prepare. You respect their boundaries in a way you never do with the people who are always on call. Stop. Listen to what just happened. Nothing about their voice changed. They didn't threaten you. They didn't beg you to treat them well. The only thing that changed was scarcity. Their attention felt rare, so your behavior upgraded automatically. When your calendar is not a public playground, when your emotional reactions are not available on demand, people assume access to you must be earned. They might not say it out loud, but they feel it. That's exactly why they hesitate before canceling last minute. That's why they apologize when they're late. That's why they think twice before sending you drama at 2 in the morning. Power starts the moment you realize you are not withholding to play games. You are aligning your investment with reality. You watch who can handle your presence, your standards, your trust, without wasting it. Those people get more of you. The careless, the disrespectful, the ones who treat attention like tap water, quietly get filtered out. And that filter is dangerous. Because once people understand that one reckless decision, one public disrespect, can move them down your priority list, they start policing themselves. They argue less. They over-explain more. They check your mood before they speak. Not because you yelled, but because scarcity made the consequences feel real. And the next behavior pushes that fear even further. It's not just the worry of losing your attention in private. It's what happens when your loyalty, your silence, or your support are no longer on their side in public, and everyone is watching. Behavior number 9, public loyalty, private correction. This is the behavior that makes people feel safest beside you and most exposed without you. They watch how you move in public, how you handle conflict, and they realize something dangerous. If you stand with them, they're shielded. If you step away, they're naked. Here's what most people don't realize. You build fear not just by what you do to your enemies, but by how you treat your allies under pressure. When someone is on your side, you defend them fiercely in public. A meeting, a group chat, a family gathering, they get criticized, blamed, or attacked. Maybe they're even partially wrong. And you still step in, you redirect, you absorb heat, you say, "We'll handle it," instead of, "That's their fault." Stop. Listen to what just happened. You didn't lie for them. You didn't pretend they were perfect. You simply refused to let them be humiliated in front of an audience. The correction comes later, behind closed doors, when the crowd is gone and the status games are over. That's exactly why people start to treat your loyalty like armor. They know that as long as they're in your circle, you will never turn them into a public sacrifice to look powerful. Think about how many times this has happened to you from the other side. Someone smiles at you in private, calls you a friend. But the second a problem appears in public, they distance themselves. They don't want to get involved. They let your name take the hit so theirs stays clean. You remember that. Your nervous system remembers that. And you never fully trust them again. You do the opposite. In public, you close ranks. In private, you raise standards. You ask hard questions. You make it clear what cannot happen again. You separate the person from the behavior so they can grow without being shamed. This is controlled emotional detachment in action, calm, precise, and powerful. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those who can quietly inflict social costs. You don't threaten anyone. You don't need to. Your reputation does the work. People see that losing you doesn't just mean losing a friend. It means losing a shield. Suddenly, if conflict erupts, they will stand alone in the blast zone with no one to redirect blame, soften criticism, or question the narrative on their behalf. Power starts the moment you realize that your public loyalty is a resource other people depend on. And dependence creates fear. They fear disappointing you. They fear being cut off. They fear waking up one day and realizing that your silence is no longer on their side. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that men fear losing powerful allies more than they fear gaining new enemies because enemies are abstract. But abandoned allies feel the loss in every room they walk into. Without you, every conversation is more dangerous. Every accusation hits harder. Every mistake is fully exposed. So people start to self-regulate around you. They think twice before betraying you. They hesitate before breaking your standards. Not because you shout, but because they know the real punishment isn't your anger. It's exile from your protection. And there's one more layer that makes this terrifying. It's when your loyalty is not only protective, it's unpredictable. When people can't quite tell which side of you they'll get next. That unpredictability is exactly why losing your loyalty feels like being pushed out of a warm room and locked outside in the snow. One day, standing next to you, people feel untouchable. The next, they feel exposed, naked, and very alone. When someone has your loyalty, conflict feels survivable. People can argue with you, they can make mistakes, they can stumble, but as long as they're still inside your circle, there's a quiet certainty. If things escalate, you will step in, you will clarify, you will contextualize, you will say, "That's not what they meant," and shield them from the worst fallout. Here's what most people don't realize. That protection changes the entire emotional climate around them. Criticism lands softer. Consequences feel lighter. Even when they're wrong, the room treats them as redeemable because you treat them as redeemable. Your presence tells everyone else, "Go easy. This one is under my protection." Now watch the after. The moment your loyalty is gone, nothing about your volume changes. You don't scream. You don't launch a public attack. You simply stop defending. You stop explaining. You stop softening the blow. And suddenly, every comment hits full force. Every challenge feels sharper. The same feedback that once felt like guidance now feels like a verdict. Stop. Listen to what just happened. You didn't become cruel. You became neutral. But to someone who has lived under your shield, neutrality feels like ice. They hear a joke at their expense and you don't step in. They get blamed for a decision and you don't correct the record. The silence is loud. That silence is what people fear. Think about how many times this has happened to you from the other side. You watched someone go from being fiercely defended by a powerful ally to being treated like any other stranger in the room. You could feel the temperature drop around their name. That's exactly why people track your loyalty so closely. They know the difference between being on your side and being on your own. People notice how you protect those you value, how you give them the benefit of the doubt, how you choose your words carefully when their reputation is on the line. And they notice how indifferent you become once trust is broken. No extra effort, no extra venom, just nothing. That contrast is dangerous. It teaches everyone that your warmth is not automatic. This creates a quiet, anticipatory fear. Even when things are good, people feel the condition underneath. Your loyalty is earned and maintained, not given as a lifetime guarantee. One major betrayal, a pattern of disrespect, a refusal to grow, and they know you will stop spending your power on them, because that's the core rule you live by. You don't waste your reputation defending people who repeatedly prove they don't deserve it. You understand that every time you stand up for someone, you are putting your name, your judgment, and your future alliances on the line. That is not a resource you hand out to the careless. Power starts the moment you realize that loyalty is not about clinging, it's about alignment. And underneath every behavior in this video is one final, terrifying capacity: your willingness to walk away from anything that requires you to shrink. That's the foundation. That's the part they fear most. And in the next behavior, you'll see what happens when you finally act on it. Behavior, back 10. The nuclear option, you're willing to lose. This is the behavior that quietly terrifies people the most. Not your anger, not your silence, your willingness to lose, to let the job go, to let the relationship die, to walk away from the deal when the price is your self-respect. Here's what most people don't realize. Almost everyone is controlled by the same threat: loss. Loss of money, loss of approval, loss of belonging. They will swallow disrespect, betray their own standards, and turn away their time just to keep what they have. That makes them predictable. That makes them safe to exploit. You become dangerous the moment that stops working on you. In a negotiation, it looks deceptively simple. You state your terms. Calm voice, clear conditions, no drama, and then you stop talking. If they push, you don't rush to fill the silence. You don't start justifying. You don't panic and offer discounts on your own boundaries. You let their discomfort sit in the air. Stop. Listen to what just happened. Most people experience that silence as unbearable. They feel the pull to rescue the other person from tension, to prove they're flexible, agreeable, easy. You don't. Your nervous system stays steady. If the agreement crosses your line, you stand up, thank them, and exit. No threat, no scene, just a clean, final decision. Think about how many times this has happened to you from the other side. The boss who knows you really need this job. The partner who knows you're terrified of being alone. The friend who knows you hate conflict. They lean on that fear every time they want you to bend. And you do. That's exactly why they never take your boundaries seriously. Over time, people feel the difference with you. They test you with guilt. After everything I've done for you, they test you with scarcity. You won't find another offer like this. They test you with emotional blackmail, tears, sulking, withdrawal, and nothing moves you off your line. You care, but you do not cave. The message lands. This person cannot be steered with fear. Power starts the moment you realize this is not recklessness. This is calculated. It rests on three things: self-trust, competence, and the belief that you can rebuild. You know that if this door closes, you have the discipline to find or create another one. That inner proof turns "what if I lose everything" into "if I lose this, I'll create something better." Machiavelli understood this perfectly. The prince who is willing to burn the bridge cannot be controlled by those standing on the other side. When people sense that in you, they walk more carefully. Their questions become more respectful. Their offers become more serious, because they know one thing with absolute certainty: if the cost of staying is your dignity, you will choose to leave. And that changes every conversation you ever have about power. And that changes every conversation you ever have about power, because underneath every single behavior we've talked about, your strategic silence, your hard-to-read emotions, your firm boundaries, your willingness to walk away, there is one message people can't unhear once they feel it. You are not emotionally or materially dependent on any one person. You can care, you can connect, but you do not need any individual badly enough to betray yourself to keep them. Here's what most people don't realize. That single fact is what people are actually afraid of. Not your voice, not your posture, not your words. They are afraid of the realization that all their usual tools have nowhere to land. Guilt doesn't work on you because you're willing to be misread rather than controlled. Flattery doesn't work because your self-worth isn't on clearance. Threats of abandonment don't work because you already know how to be alone. The entire manipulation economy runs on one assumption: that you are too afraid to lose connection, status, or resources to say no. When you show repeatedly that you will choose self-respect over attachment, you break the market. The dangerous people, the narcissists, the controllers, the quiet, emotional blackmailers sense this instantly. That's exactly why they go tense around you. Their leverage is gone before the conversation even starts. Think about how many times this has happened to you without a name. Someone tries a guilt trip and you don't bite. They hint you'll be left out if you don't comply, and you shrug. They test a boundary and you calmly enforce it. No drama, no lecture, just a decision. In that moment, you become expensive to mistreat. Very expensive. Research on dominance and prestige shows people comply more when they believe you can inflict costs, even if those costs are only implied. Your cost is simple. If they abuse your trust, they lose access to you. No scene, no revenge, just absence. The fear you create is not about physical harm. It is about the quiet, permanent consequences of disrespect. They know that if they cross the line, you will remove yourself and never look back. Healthy people feel this too, but it lands differently. At first, they might be a little intimidated. They watch your calm, your silence, your refusal to overshare. They wonder, can I reach this person? Then something shifts. They realize your independence means you are not secretly needy, clingy, or waiting to collapse onto them. Around you, they feel strangely safe because they know you're here by choice, not desperation. Power starts the moment you realize this independence is the foundation that makes every other behavior real. Without it, boundaries are performance. Silence is a script. Walking away is an empty threat. With it, everything you do carries weight. But there's one more layer that most people never see coming. That one more layer is you, not theory, not psychology, not Machiavelli. You, your habits, your patterns, your blind spots. This is the moment where you stop treating these 10 behaviors like abstract traits and start using them as a mirror. So do a quick scan. Go back through the list in your head. Which behaviors felt natural, almost obvious, like you've been doing them your whole life without a name for them? The unbothered silence, the clean no, the refusal to chase. Those are your built-in weapons. They're already in your hand. Now, notice the opposite reaction. Which behaviors felt uncomfortable, heavy, even a little dangerous? Which ones made you think, if I did that, people would hate it? Stop. Listen to what just happened. That flash of discomfort is exactly where your power has been leaking. The trait you resist is usually the trait that would finally stop people from walking straight through you. Here's what most people don't realize. The world has already been giving you feedback about this. If you keep hearing that you're intimidating, hard to read, cold, or too blunt, that is not random. That is a report on how your presence lands. It means some of these behaviors are already active, but you haven't fully understood their impact. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone over-explains themselves around you. They check your mood before they disagree. They say, I didn't know how you'd take it. That is quiet fear, not because you shouted, because you are harder to move than they are. Studies on emotional regulation show that people read low reactivity as power. Calm feels dangerous to those who rely on chaos. On the other side, you might feel the reverse. You're not feared, you're ignored, talked over, treated like the safe option who will always adjust. If that's you, your self-check is different. Pick 1 or 2 behaviors that felt the most distant and start small. 1 extra second of silence before you answer a question. 1 clear no in a low-stakes conversation. 1 standard you refuse to lower, even when it would be easier to give in. This is not about transforming overnight into an ice-cold strategist. It's about controlled experiments, low-risk situations, high awareness. You're training your nervous system to see that nothing explodes when you stop being endlessly accommodating. Power starts the moment you realize that awareness alone changes how you move. When you know your silence has weight, you stop rushing to fill it. When you know your no has consequences, you stop wrapping it in apologies. When you know your standards shape your reputation, you stop negotiating them away for temporary approval. And this is where the real danger appears. Because if you lean too far into fear without balance, you don't become powerful. You become isolated, misread, cast as the villain in other people's stories. In the next sections, you'll see how to walk that line, how to keep the respect, keep the caution, keep the edge, without turning your life into a cold war with everyone around you. So here's the line you have to walk. Feared enough that people think twice before crossing you. Respected enough that they still want you in the room. Miss that balance and everything collapses. Too much fear without respect and you're not powerful. You're a bully. Too much respect without any fear and people start testing you, pushing, probing, seeing what they can get away with. Here's what most people don't realize. Respect alone does not stop exploitation. People respect their boss and still lie to them. They respect their partner and still push their limits. What actually restrains bad behavior is the quiet awareness that crossing you has a cost. Not a tantrum, not revenge, a cost. That's exactly why the goal is not to be nice or liked. The goal is to be taken seriously. So how do you stay human without becoming soft and safe to violate? You use selective warmth. You can be kind, generous, even playful in conversation, but that warmth is a privilege, not a negotiation. You don't laugh off disrespect to keep the mood light. You don't say it's fine when it isn't, just to avoid tension. Your self-respect is never on the table as the price of connection. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone crosses a line, then throws in a joke, a smile, a compliment, and you feel pressured to match their energy. You mirror their warmth instead of your own standards. In that moment, you traded power for approval. You told them your feelings are flexible, but their comfort is sacred. The balance comes from contrast. You soften your edges with small, precise gestures. You remember what people told you last week. You offer help before they have to beg. You give credit loudly when someone performs well. These are powerful signals that you are not cold or cruel. But when someone lies, disrespects your time, or breaks trust, the consequence is just as precise. A canceled favor, a revoked access, a direct conversation where you state what changed. Power starts the moment you realize that fear is not built by shouting. It's built by consistency. People can live with your intimidating traits if they see that your decisions are fair, that your standards don't flip with your mood, that you are not driven by petty ego. When your reactions are predictable in principle, even if not in detail, people feel both cautious and strangely safe around you. And you do not have to become cold to do this. You just stop begging to be understood. You stop over-explaining every boundary. You stop apologizing for decisions that protect your time, your energy, your peace. From the outside, that looks dangerous to cross. On the inside, it feels calm. In the next section, you'll see how that calm turns into a reputation, the quiet signal that says, respect this person or regret it, without you ever needing to threaten anyone out loud. That quiet reputation you're building has a shadow side. If you're not careful, the same signal that says, respect this person or regret it, can quietly turn into, don't be honest with this person at all. That's when power starts working against you instead of for you. Here's what most people don't realize. Fear doesn't just control behavior, it distorts information. You'll see the first warning sign when honest feedback dries up. People tell you everything's good, even when it clearly isn't. Performance reviews get vague. Friends say, it's nothing, don't worry about it, and change the subject. On the surface, everything looks calm. Underneath, people are editing themselves around you. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You walk into a room and the conversation shifts. Jokes die mid-sentence. Someone says, oh, we'll talk about it later. You notice people are nervous even when you're being friendly. They over-explain small mistakes. They rush to reassure you before you've even reacted. That's not respect. That's anxiety. Then it gets more dangerous. You start becoming the last person to hear bad news. Problems are handled without you. Deals fall apart, and you only find out after everything is already broken. People tell each other the truth in private, but they don't bring it to you because they don't want to trigger your cold side. Stop, listen to what just happened. The fear that once protected your boundaries is now blocking your access to reality. Research on dominance and prestige shows that when people believe you can inflict costs, they comply more, but they also hide more. Excessive fear creates distance. You stop getting early warnings, fresh ideas, or ambitious suggestions. No one wants to be the person who risks your disapproval with a risky proposal, an uncomfortable question, or a blunt truth. That's exactly why over-intimidating leaders slowly go blind while everyone smiles and nods. If you push this far enough, you trap yourself in an echo chamber. Only the bravest, the most loyal, or the most desperate will speak up. Everyone else just tells you what feels safe. Your decisions start resting on filtered data, biased praise, and half answers. For someone who wants power, that is lethal. You look powerful from the outside, but on the inside, you're steering in the dark. So you need a pressure gauge. Every so often, ask a trusted ally a very direct question. When you disagree with me, do you feel respected, slightly intimidated, or genuinely afraid to be honest? Then stay silent. Watch how long it takes them to answer. Watch their body language. The hesitation is data. Power starts the moment you realize the goal is not maximum fear, but calibrated fear. Enough that people don't take liberties, not so much that they stop being real with you. In the next section, you'll see the exact behaviors that quietly rebalance that scale, without losing the edge that makes people think twice before crossing you. Calibrated fear only works if your reactions are calibrated. If you treat every tiny misstep like a declaration of war, people won't see you as powerful. They'll see you as dangerous in the worst way, unstable, exhausting, impossible to relax around. Here's what most people don't realize. Not every mistake, awkward comment, or small request is an attack on your power. Sometimes it's ignorance. Sometimes it's nerves. Sometimes it's just clumsy humanity. If you slam the hammer down on all of it, you train people to walk on eggshells, not to respect your boundaries. What just happened the last time someone made a small error around you? Did you freeze them out over a late text? Did you go cold because they phrased something badly once? Or did you pause and actually read the intent behind the behavior before you decided how dangerous it was? Power starts the moment you realize you need a filter, a fast internal check before you respond. Ask yourself 3 questions. Is this a pattern or a one-off? Ignorance or disrespect? Clumsiness or manipulation? Those distinctions are everything. A colleague who interrupts you once when they're excited is not the same as the one who talks over you in every meeting. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone makes a small, awkward request. Could you help me with this just this once? If it truly is once, if their track record is clean, that's different from the person who always just needs a quick favor and disappears when it's your turn. Same surface behavior, different intent, different response. Research on dominance and prestige shows people comply more with those they believe can inflict costs. But here's the twist. When you punish everything, the cost feels random, unpredictable. People don't become loyal, they become anxious, and they quietly distance themselves. Strategic unpredictability works only when the underlying rule is consistent. Real violations get real consequences, so you respond gently to one-off, well-intentioned mistakes. You correct, you clarify, you set the expectation once. Calm voice, direct words, no performance. You save your full intimidating toolkit, silence, withdrawal, firm no, cutting eye contact for repeated behavior, clear exploitation, or obvious manipulation. That's exactly why your serious reactions start to mean something. When you rarely go cold, going cold is loud. When you rarely raise your voice, a quiet, "No, that doesn't work for me," hits harder than a scream. people learn the difference between an honest error and a line-crossing decision because your responses teach them there is a difference. The result? You stay safe without becoming paranoid. People feel they can be human around you, but they also know there is a line and that crossing it has a predictable cost. In the next section, you'll see how to turn this mental check into a simple daily practice. Tiny behaviors you repeat until this discernment becomes automatic and your presence quietly rewires how every room experiences you. Power starts the moment you realize this isn't about becoming a different person. It's about changing what you do in the tiny, invisible spaces of everyday life. Those micro moments are where your aura is built. Not in big speeches, not in dramatic confrontations. In the 3 seconds before you open your mouth. So here's your first practice. 1 full breath before you answer anything. A favor, a question, an invitation. Someone asks, "Can you?" or "Do you mind?" And instead of rushing to be agreeable, you inhale, you exhale, then you respond. That's it. You are training your nervous system to stop treating every conversation like an emergency. Stop. Listen to what just happened. By inserting that breath, you send a quiet signal. I decide, then I answer. People feel that. Here's what most people don't realize. When you respond instantly, you look easy to move, easy to read, easy to predict. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those they see as capable of imposing costs, even implied ones. A person who pauses before deciding looks like they could say no. That uncertainty makes others cautious. It makes you feel dangerous without saying a word. Second practice, strategic silence. Pick one arena this week, work meetings, group chats, or family dinners. Just one. In that space, you will speak about 20% less. You cut one layer of over-explaining from every answer. You state your point once, clearly, and you stop talking. No nervous rambling, no, "Does that make sense?" at the end. Think about how many times this has happened to you. The person who speaks the least is the one everyone keeps watching. That's exactly why you were doing this. Third practice, 1 firm no per week. Low stakes. Someone wants to borrow something, switch a minor plan, dump a small task on you. You say, "No, I'm not available for that," and you leave it there. No apology, no long justification. Emotional regulation studies show that people who stay calm and unreactive are perceived as more powerful and harder to influence. A clean no, delivered without flinch, rewires how safe people feel pushing you. Then, once a week, you review the tape. Where did you rush? Where did you talk past your point? Where did you soften your standards just to keep the peace? And where did you hold your ground? This reflection is where the pattern becomes conscious. Power starts the moment you realize exactly how you gave it away. These are small shifts, a breath, a pause, a shorter sentence. 1 no. Repeated over months, they change your reputation. People won't be able to explain it, but they will feel less safe underestimating you. In the next section, you'll see how to stack these habits into a long-term image. One that quietly says, "Respect me," or "Regret it," without you ever raising your voice. So when you finally do that, when your image hardens and your softness stops being free, something else happens. People start to complain, not openly at first, in little comments, in jokes. In that quiet accusation, you've changed. Here's what most people don't realize. You've changed is rarely a neutral observation. It's a control tactic. It sounds like concern, but it's a question with a verdict already built in. What they're really saying is, "You stopped giving me what I was getting from you, and I don't feel safe about that." They feel the power balance shifting and they want it back. Watch who says it. The people who benefited from your constant availability will be the loudest. The friend who used you as a therapist at 2 a.m., the co-worker who always dumped extra tasks on your desk, the family member who expected instant replies, instant favors, instant forgiveness. When you become quieter, slower to respond, harder to read, they don't see growth. They see loss of access. You didn't insult them. You didn't attack. You simply stopped overgiving. You enforced a limit, and that alone felt dangerous to them. Research on dominance and prestige shows that people comply more with those who can impose costs. When you stop absorbing everyone else's discomfort, you signal that crossing you now has a price. Tension, distance, a door that might close. So when they say, "You're so cold now," or "You're not like you used to be," you don't defend. You don't write a 3-paragraph answer explaining your healing journey. You stay calm. You stay simple. You say, "I'm just being clearer about my limits." Or, "I'm prioritizing my energy differently now." Then you let the silence do the rest of the work. That's exactly why you must resist the urge to argue about your evolution. The moment you start debating whether you're allowed to change, you've already surrendered the frame. Your growth is not up for a vote. Your decisions are not a group project. Power starts the moment you realize you don't need their approval to become less convenient. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You tried to be firmer for 1 week, got pushback, felt guilty, and snapped back into your old role. They learned you were bluffing. This time, your answer is different. You don't fight, you don't justify. You just keep behaving in line with your new baseline over and over until your consistency rewires their expectations. And here's the quiet threat underneath it all. If they keep pushing, they risk losing you completely. Most will adapt. A few won't. Your job is not to chase them. It's to hold the line. In the next 2 sections, you'll see how to turn this line into a permanent identity. How to weave these behaviors so tightly into who you are that the old you becomes a story people tell and a warning they repeat. This is where it stops being a few tactics and starts becoming a presence, not a trick, a design. Here's what most people don't realize. The people who are quietly feared didn't memorize a list of 10 behaviors and perform them like a script. They chose a few that matched their nature, then repeated them until everyone around them understood, without being told, "You don't play games with this person." That's the level you're aiming for. Start with 3 core behaviors, not 10. 3. Strategic silence, firm nose, selective attention, or emotional detachment, slow responses, and unblinking eye contact. Which ones feel like an extension of who you already are? If you're naturally calm, lean into silence and stillness. If you're direct, lean into sharp boundaries and clear consequences. The wrong combination will feel fake, and people can smell fake. The right combination feels like you, just weaponized. Power starts the moment you realize you don't have to perform all the time. Trying to imitate all 10 behaviors at once is how you become a caricature of a dangerous person. Too cold, too stiff, too theatrical. It makes you look insecure, not powerful, because you're clearly acting. Integration means your behavior grows out of your temperament, not against it. You are not inventing a new personality. You are tightening the screws on the one you already have. So you choose your 3. Then you map the battlefield, because you do not need the same intensity everywhere. At work, strategic silence and firm nose create that quiet intimidation research talks about. Low emotional reactivity, high control. People double-check before crossing you. In dating, selective attention and emotional detachment make others chase your approval. But if you turn that up too high with family, it stops being power and starts being cruelty. Where do you need to be feared, and where do you simply need to be clear? The goal is not to become a movie villain. The goal is to become someone whose respect is valuable and whose disrespect is costly. Someone who almost never raises their voice, never makes open threats, and yet Everyone understands the price of playing stupid games with you. This is identity design. You are making a deliberate decision about the emotional climate you carry into every room. In the next section, you'll see how to lock this in as reputation, how to make sure that even when you're not there, your name walks into the room before you do, and people adjust themselves accordingly. Power starts the moment you realize these aren't just quirks. They're a system. 10 behaviors that quietly rewrite how people calculate the danger of crossing you. Strategic silence is the first lever. You don't rush to fill the air. You let people sit with what they said. Uncertainty grows in that gap. Being hard to read turns that gap into a question mark. They can't predict your reaction, so they tread lightly. Together, those two make every conversation feel like it might have consequences they can't fully see. Then you add unapologetic no's. Not angry, not explained to death, just clear. When you refuse without guilt, people get a sharp picture of your standards. Quiet cutoffs reinforce that picture. You don't scream, you don't campaign. You just stop giving access. Stop, listen to what just happened. Silence plus removal teaches faster than any speech. When you play stupid games with me, you lose proximity. Nonverbal dominance runs underneath all of this. Your posture, eye contact, stillness. You don't fidget for approval. You take up space without noise. Research on emotional regulation shows that calm, unreadable faces are rated as more powerful and harder to influence. That's exactly why people over-explain themselves around you without knowing why. Minimal words sharpen the edge. You answer what's asked, not 10 extra layers. No nervous rambling, no softening phrases. When you do speak, it lands. Then there are your ruthless self-standards. You hold yourself to a higher bar than you hold anyone else. Here's what most people don't realize. When you are visibly strict with yourself, your standards stop looking negotiable to everyone else. They look like law. Selective attention decides who even gets your energy. You don't reward chaos, gossip, or emotional blackmail with focus. You turn toward what matters and starve what doesn't. Public loyalty with private correction makes people feel both safe and on notice. Safe because you never humiliate them in front of others. On notice because they know that if there's a problem, it will be addressed directly, not leaked sideways. And under all of it sits the willingness to lose, to walk away from deals, relationships, and approval. Think about how many times this has happened to you. The person who cares the least about keeping things pleasant controls the terms. When people sense that you will absorb short-term loss rather than betray your standards, your consequences become credible. These behaviors work together or they don't work at all. Silence without standards is just passivity. Standards without the willingness to walk away are just suggestions. Uncertainty about your reactions, clarity about your rules, and credibility about your follow-through. That triangle is what makes people quietly fear disappointing you. You already have pieces of this. You've gone silent when someone went too far. You've walked away from something that felt wrong. The shift now is using these behaviors on purpose, not by accident. In the final section, you'll decide something crucial. Who do you want to be feared by? And who do you want to feel completely safe in your presence, knowing that your power protects them, not threatens them? So now the question flips. Not, how do I make people fear me, but where do I want that fear to exist? And where do I want it gone? Because if you don't choose, your aura chooses for you. At random, with collateral damage. Start with this. In what arenas do you actually want people to hesitate before disappointing you? Work, business, creative projects, money, your time. Think about how many times this has happened to you. Someone misses a deadline, shows up late, delivers weak work, and they're not really afraid of the consequences. They apologize, you soften, and nothing changes. That is an environment with zero fear. It feels nice. It destroys standards. Here's what most people don't realize. High performers, real leaders, the people who quietly dominate rooms, are not loved for their flexibility. They're respected for their non-negotiables. Colleagues feel a subtle pressure around their time. Clients feel a subtle tension around their word. Crossing them feels dangerous, not because they scream, but because their boundaries are real. That's exactly why projects move, deals close, and mediocrity doesn't linger. So decide, in your professional life, do you want to be the person people hope to please, or the person they're a little afraid to disappoint? Do you want your creative standards treated like suggestions or like law? Power starts the moment you realize you are allowed to build a reputation that says, respect this or regret it, without ever raising your voice. But power without precision is reckless. There are places where fear is poison, with children, with intimate partners, with the people you trust most. In those circles, you don't want people scanning your mood, over-explaining or walking on eggshells. You want them to feel safe. You want them to know your silence is listening, not punishment. Your distance is rest, not rejection. That means you consciously dial down certain behaviors there. Less strategic unpredictability, more emotional transparency, less cold withdrawal, more naming what you feel. You still have boundaries, but you enforce them with explanation, with warmth, with repair. You do not let the same intimidating calm you use in negotiation bleed into a child's nervous system or a partner's attachment. You moved from being a passive product of your upbringing and habits to the architect of your own aura. You are choosing your fear radius. You are deciding where you are approachable and where you are untouchable. That is real power. This balance is not a weekend project. It's a long game of watching yourself in every conversation and asking, did my presence make this person clearer, braver, more honest, or just more afraid? When you keep studying human nature, the advantage compounds. You stop leaking power where you need it and stop radiating threat where you don't. In the next part, you'll see exactly how to lock this in so that the people who should fear crossing you do, and the few who should feel completely safe never doubt it for a second. This is where the video ends for most people, and where the real shift starts for you. You just walked through 10 behaviors that quietly make people cautious, respectful, sometimes a little afraid. Do not let that just feel interesting and then disappear. Power starts the moment you realize you can replay the blueprint instead of relying on memory and mood. Go back and rewatch the behavior that stung the most, the one you already do without thinking, or the one you strongly resisted. That resistance is data. Stop. Listen to what just happened. Your nervous system flagged it as dangerous, either because it threatens your old identity or exposes a weak spot you've been protecting with fake niceness. That is exactly where the leverage is. Then pick one person and send this to them, not a random friend, the one who always gets called intimidating, too much, scary when they're quiet. Here's what most people don't realize. Those labels are often the world's lazy way of saying, you have more power than we're comfortable with. Sharing this reframes them not as a problem to shrink, but as a weapon to sharpen. If you want to keep building this, do not stop with this video. Move straight into the deeper tools. Boundaries, negotiation, Machiavellian social strategy. Watch how people who enforce limits without apology become the ones others over-explain themselves to. Study how controlled emotional detachment and strategic unpredictability make people think twice before lying, stalling, or disrespecting you. The more you understand these patterns, the less you ever need to raise your voice. Now, the challenge. Within the next 24 hours, implement one concrete change, not 10. 1. Say, no, that doesn't work for me, without padding it with apologies. Let a silence sit for 3 full seconds before you answer a difficult question. Hold eye contact when someone pushes a boundary, and do not rush to rescue them from the tension. Then watch. Who suddenly gets more careful with you? Who adjusts their tone? Who starts treating your time as expensive instead of free? Think about how many times this has happened to you in reverse. You bled power because you filled the silence, over-explained, softened the truth so everyone else could stay comfortable. That version of you cannot come with you from this point forward. Your identity is different now. You are no longer someone who leaks power by default. You are someone people think twice about crossing because you understand exactly what you're doing. Stay in this work. Rewatch, share, apply. The more dangerous it feels to disrespect you, the safer your world becomes.